Hey everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel. And welcome to this modern horror movie review video as part of my current March 2026 series. So in this video, we're going to take a look at an M. Night Shyamalan movie, actually from a couple of years ago, 2023. And that movie is on Blu-ray and DVD that I have, and digital code, Knock at the Cabin. So, got the slip cover there. I do have there are some bonus features there that I have yet to watch, but yeah, Knock at the Cabin. So, like most people, M. Night Shyamalan's pretty hit or miss for me. So the question is, does he hit or does he miss in this one? Well, let's just go ahead and get into it. So, Knock at the Cabin is a 2023 American apocalyptic psychological horror film, co-written, directed, and produced by M. Night Shyamalan, who wrote the screenplay from an initial draft by Steve Desmond and Michael Sherman. It is based on the 2018 novel The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul G. Tremblay, the first adaptation of one of his works. The film stars Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, Nikki Amuka Bird, Kristen Q, Abby Quinn, and Rupert Grint. In the film, a family is vacationing at a remote cabin where they are suddenly held hostage by four strangers who ask them to do something unimaginable. So 7-year-old Wen is vacationing with her parents Eric and Andrew in a remote cabin in rural Pennsylvania. She is approached by a stranger named Leonard, who explains that he needs Wen and her parents help to save the world. Leonard and three other individuals break into the cabin with makeshift weapons and tie Eric and Andrew up. Struggling to fight them off, Eric sustains a concussion. Leonard and his companions, Sabrina, Adrian, and Redmond, claim that they have no intention of harming the family. However, in the past week, they have been driven by visions to find the family. They foresee an impending apocalypse in which oceans will rise, a pandemic will spread, and the sky will fall. The only way to prevent this is for the family to sacrifice one of their own. If they fail to do so, they will be the last living humans. When the family refuses, the intruders sacrifice Redmond by fatally striking him with their weapons. So yeah, that's to set up the premise, the beginning of Knock at the Cabin. As far as the cast goes, we have Dave Bautista as Leonard, Jonathan Groff as Eric, Ben Aldridge as Andrew, Nikki Amuka Bird as Sabrina, Rupert Grint as Redmond, and Abby Quinn as Adrian. So yeah, that's to set up the premise and the cast for the 2023 M. Night Shyamalan movie Knock at the Cabin. This is a very mixed bag, not surprisingly, like many of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, with the exception of three that I really like. A couple that I don't like at all, and then everything else is kind of in the middle as a mixed bag. This one kind of falls into that category for me. There's a lot of good here, but there's a lot of things that don't work for me here as well. So if I had a nickel for every time I could say that about an M. Night Shyamalan movie, I'd be retired at 47 right now. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and talk about the things that I like about Knock at the Cabin first. And I do think the premise is really interesting. I mean, I'm not the biggest post-apocalyptic, well, this isn't post, I guess, but apocalyptic end of the world kind of guy. But I also don't shy away from it. I've seen some done well and others not. But just the premise here involving the apocalypse is really interesting. And I did find myself immediately engaged in the movie, and given the tone and the atmosphere that M. Night Shyamalan goes for here, especially the first half of the movie, I really was intrigued by it, and I think it was very interesting, both in terms of these characters that come and visit this family, but also by what they show this family and the decision that has to be made. You kind of put yourself in those same shoes, and you ask yourself, would I be able to do that, or to choose a family member to kill? I mean, to save the world. In 2026, I'm not sure. I have a feeling I'd have to say no, especially given the way the world is right now. I'm not sure it's worth saving, but I know it might not be a popular opinion. But anyway, I really did like that whole premise of the movie. The first half of the movie does a great job of having you on the edge of your seat with the tension that's created and just the overall unease that we feel as to what will happen next. I mean, the movie opens with this little girl trying to catch grasshoppers, and all of a sudden this big dude, Dave Bautista as Leonard, comes up to her. And the way the movie's shot, it's very interesting. It just kind of gives you that unnerving, uneasy feeling. He approaches her. They talk grasshoppers, but there's just something about him and his whole persona that just kind of makes you uneasy. Like he's, this isn't, something's not right here kind of thing. And the first half of the movie I thought did a really great job with that. The performances across the board are really good here, especially by three actors that I'm going to highlight. Dave Bautista, who plays Leonard, Jonathan Groff, and Ben Aldridge, who plays Eric and Andrew, the couple in this family. I thought all three of them, who are basically our main characters in a lot of ways, I thought they were all phenomenal, and I think their performances make this whole situation and premise more believable and intense because of their strong portrayals of these characters that they play. And I haven't seen much with Dave Bautista in it other than the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which he's kind of a side character. I mean, he's an important character, but he's not like the main character of those movies. I thought he was really good here, and he definitely showed some acting chops in this movie. So yeah, good performances across the board, even the side characters. It was cool to see Rupert Grint in this movie as somebody that's a big Harry Potter movie franchise fan. I haven't seen him in anything else outside of Ron Weasley, so he's not in the movie for very long, but when he is, he definitely has a screen presence to him, and it was fun watching them. But everybody does a good job. Even the little girl that plays Wen, I thought she was fine as a kid, which you don't often get, especially in these more intense kind of movies. So yeah, great performances. The movie's really well shot with great cinematography. I really like the camera angle designs that they use, especially at the beginning, as I was talking about, when this group of people, these four people, approach the family, and just kind of what they show and what they don't, the different angles and everything, I thought were really well done. And then my final pro is I think having this isolated cabin setting in the woods is very effective, obviously, for this type of movie because there's no police around, there's no law enforcement, so this family is kind of at the mercy, to a certain extent, of these four individuals that come as a group and ask them to do this, make this impossible choice, basically. So yeah, those are the pros, or the things that I really like about Knock at the Cabin. As far as cons go, the second half of the movie. Like a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies, he doesn't stick the landing, unfortunately. He often takes a lot of big swings in his movies, and some of them work, and some of them don't. He doesn't really take a big swing in this movie as far as a twist goes towards the end, but the second half of the movie just kind of what's the word now? Dematerializes. There we go. It just kind of disintegrates into a less interesting and more of a straightforward direction that kind of left me disappointed at the end of the day. I mean, the first half of the movie I was really into. I was engaged. I wanted to see where this was going to go, and knowing it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, I was kind of expecting that big left turn, which doesn't always work. You don't always have to have a big twist to make a movie work, but it's kind of what you come to know M. Night Shyamalan for, and to not have it and then just have the way that the movie plays out in kind of a very underwhelming and disappointing way was that was the biggest con that I could come up with this movie. He just doesn't stick the landing, and that's a common theme in a lot of his movies, unfortunately. They pull away from the violence and gore that they show on screen, which I don't think that's a bad thing all the time, but in this case, because this is an R-rated movie, and he does a lot of PG-13 movies, I think they would have been better off embracing that, and I think it would have been a more effective movie in terms of the characters and especially the story going forward. The second half of the movie, I think it would have really helped if they would have showed more. Doesn't mean you have to be overly gory with it or show every blow to the head or the body, but I think they could have done a little bit more, and it would have had some higher stakes the second half of the movie. So I thought that was a missed opportunity. There's flashbacks throughout the movie that I didn't really think served a purpose the way they wanted it to. They kind of felt out of place and just not effectively executed to where it added a lot of benefit. I mean, I understood the point of them and how it plays into the end of the movie, but because of the performances and the writing that was going on in present time, I just don't think that they did what the movie makers like Shyamalan thought they were going to do. And I think they were a bit of a distraction, if I'm being honest with you, at least for me. They just don't benefit the characters or the overall story. And then again, the lack of the big swing that M. Night Shyamalan usually takes, the twist that we come to expect. I actually think this is going to sound weird, but in this movie, I actually think it would have benefited from that big swing, that big twist. Not all of his movies I don't feel like needed to have that, like Glass, for example, which probably his most disappointing movie for me. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's lacking here, and maybe it's because I was waiting for it. Maybe that was a mistake on my part. But because I was so underwhelmed by the second half of the movie, I really could have used it here. And then my final con is it's kind of repetitive. Like, it's a one-note premise that this movie has. Well, the premise initially is very interesting. They continually ask this family to make the sacrifice, and then they kill one of their own each time they don't, and then they show them stuff on TV around the world about what's happening. And but it's kind of rinse, wash, repeat throughout the whole movie, including the second half of the movie. And so it was a bit repetitive in that regard. So I don't know, guys. Overall, it's definitely not a bad movie. It certainly could have been better. Again, it's an M. Night Shyamalan mixed bag. Again, I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's worth a watch. But God, it could have been so much better and so much more interesting throughout if he would have just stuck the landing. But unfortunately, he didn't. I am going to keep it in my collection, though, because I do think the first half of the movie does warrant it to stay in the collection. And I could see rewatching it for sure. Not often, but definitely something that I'll rewatch in a year or so and see if maybe my opinions will change. I don't know. But 6.5 out of 10 for Knock at the Cabin. By M. Night Shyamalan from 2023. Go ahead and comment down below your guys' thoughts on this movie. From all the reviews and everything I heard, it's a pretty mixed bag by other people too. So I'd be curious to hear those that love it more, if you do, or those that don't love it at all. Comment down below. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It would really help me out for the future content on my channel going forward. With all that being said, we got a lot more movies to cover in this series. A lot of modern horror movies that I haven't seen yet that we'll be watching and reviewing. So stay tuned for that. Hope everybody's doing well as we've gotten into March here. But as always, stay scared. Bye.